Are you a life coach who wants to make a difference in the world? Do you want to share your wisdom, passion, and experience with others? Do you want to grow your business and reach more clients? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need Life Coaching Today. Life Coaching Today is the largest platform on the web for life coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists who want to enhance their visibility, gain exposure, and connect with clients. Life Coaching Today is more than just a directory. It's a network of opportunities. By joining Life Coaching Today, you will get access to a magazine where you can be featured and connect with over 30 million subscribers. Be a guest to our podcasts with over 55,000 subscribers. A directory where you can showcase your profile, services, and testimonials to thousands of potential clients. And that's not all. Life Coaching Today also offers a free 30-minute coaching session on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you can be coached or meet your next client. A flexible pricing plan where you can choose the best option for your budget and goals. A dedicated customer service team where you can get help and guidance whenever you need it. So what are you waiting for? Join Life Coaching Today and take your life coaching career to the next level. Visit www.lifecoachingtoday.com and sign up today. Life Coaching Today, the largest portal on the web connecting coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I feel like I am a little congested. I know I'm congested this morning, but we here, Lord, we are here. Good morning. This is Kadada Esmera Gray, conflict coach with Life Coaching Today presents. I missed you all. I was not here last week, except for a little small amount of time. Because I just wanted to say hey to everybody. And I was talking about like how men disappointed me last week, but it's okay. Some of y'all missed that. And but we were supposed to have on last Thursday night, we were supposed to have on a guest who basically was a no-show. And so I struggle with the idea of do I make apologies for the inconvenience that other people cause for other people? So I'm not going to apologize. I'm going to say I missed you all. And I just want to say a shout out to my team, Yoruba, to Kyle, to Mary Ann, to Max, who worked really, really hard to get promos up and because I wanted you guys to be a part of this. And me too, I am trying to work on all of my social media marketing and stuff like that. But it was kind of disappointing. But what can one do, right? I've got to be responsible on my side and do what I need to do for you all. And I get it. It is hard. It is hard. It is hard to keep schedules. It is hard to make promises per se and then not show up. So the broken promise thing, I don't know. So when I see that person next time, and I know that I will, that they're going to get a super duper dose of a side eye. Like, that's who you are. But yeah, I want to say shout out to my team because they were the ones that put in the work. I was just going to talk and talk and talk. So good morning. Good morning. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I have been busy, been really, really busy. If you guys don't know me, if this is your first time here, Life Coaching Today presents, kind of sits with me in this platform that I live in that represents a political space, that represents a conflict space, because guess what? Politics and conflict are all up and down, through in and out our psyche. It is our daily thing. And this is what Life Coaching Today presents. We bring forward that political, the the conflicts of life, the social, emotional development of people. And we bring those hopeful stories and I want people to know like you can actually do things. Yes, we have to grind for it. Yes, hold on. I'm going to remove grind from my vocabulary because I really don't like the word grind too much. Because we're not trying to get shiny. Most people grind themselves into dust and there's no more. So I just want to say that we work hard, right? But I am bringing to you today in celebration. Still, I'm celebrating men, and I feel like I'm not doing the best job because I'm so busy. So I apologize to all the men out here. If you missed it 2 weeks ago, I had some great men on talking about fatherhood and the reason. I mean, like why men need to support each other. And there's a 5K race coming in Atlanta, and we've got a brother Kyle who is a like a father parenting coach. It's just they just doing amazing things. So today I do that again for you all. I am bringing some amazing, amazing, amazing men together, friends of mine that I just want to say I am so excited. I mean, like um just one found out that he won the presidential lifetime achievement award. I have another brother, Jonathan, who is going to come on and he is going to discuss his new book. Like he is a community activist. I call him a political whiz kid because I'm old, y'all. And then I've got George coming on, who's a part of his community, who's a mental health advocate, who is you guys remind me, I got to ask him about his son because his son was on TV the other day, and just really good men who understand the need for safe spaces of Black men. And so today the topic is why do Black men or men in general need safe spaces? Because this conversation isn't only a Black conversation, it's not only a white conversation, all men. But I have some brothers on who are going to speak to that, tell their own stories, and I am super excited. But I do want to say some things, right? So, in the week that I have been away, and it seems like forever, y'all, like I've been wearing my little butterfly earrings, and see, they got little butterflies, little butterfly wings. And if you didn't know, my first name Kadada, my middle name Esmera, it translates into sister butterfly. So I love a good butterfly. I've had to build relationships with butterflies because I'm not a fan of things that fly and flutter around. But butterflies, I made peace with them a few years ago because it's like, what? My parents named me Butterfly. I can't be afraid of butterflies, but that's me having to work through my own issues, What else? I have, I did this conflict. Let me tell y'all, conflict is rampant in this world. And when I say that, I mean, the choices that we make, how we are interacting with each other, it is so, so important to be mindful of your value system when you have your interactions with others. And we are obviously, some of us out in the streets, out in the great global streets of the world, have lost y'all ever loving mind. I mean, we're yelling and screaming at each other. We are still yelling and screaming at each other over a conflict in Gaza. We've got added people coming. And let me just say this. One of the most important things that humans need in this life is to be heard. And so we should be able to allow people to voice their opinions, and they are opinions. Okay, I have my opinion, like I'm sharing an opinion now. I'm not going to bring you all research to give you datas and facts, but I will say this, that in my academic tenure, and I've got 4 degrees, I've worked a lot, I've read a lot, I keep doing the same, reading and getting myself prepared, just to grow my brain cells and my knowledge base of conflict. Listen, humans want to be heard. And when you have the opportunity to speak on something that you are passionate about, before you deliver that message, remind yourself of some of the values that you stand on. So if you stand on the value of kindness, you cannot be in attack mode and kind at the same time. So I just want to say that to you all because I am just in the space of awe at how we are, as we say back home, going off on people in the name of being right. And I want to share this with you. We can be adjacent to people's pain and suffering. However, if I am not currently standing in their pain and suffering, all I should do is offer up empathy and sympathy. That's it. Stop attacking other people who have the same rights as you to actually speak their mind. And we need to learn how to agree to disagree. We have to learn how to say, I can hear you, I disagree with you, but I'm still okay with you. Okay. Just something to think about. So I bring that up because I had a conflict resolution training last week, and y'all, it was pointed out to me that literally there was a team from the same organization that came to my conflict resolution training, and y'all, they were fighting inside the training amongst each other with hopes that I would spank their hand in the conflict resolution training, or spank someone's hand. Like the president wanted me to yell at so and so, and so wanted me to yell at the president. And so it's just mind-blowing to me. Listen, my other piece of advice is this: if you are in a nonprofit setting, you know that you joined the nonprofit for the mission and the purpose. I want to say that again. You joined for the mission and purpose. Hopefully that's what you joined for. Maybe you joined because you wanted a fancy title or something. I don't know. And they were offering you one. I don't know. But let me just speak to the people who join on the mission and value. Focus on the mission and value and take your personal stuff out the door and stand on what your value systems are. And when I say that, I'm talking more from the restorative justice space, because we don't do that. And I'm working on my level of mindfulness, that what it means to be kind, because I believe in being kind and almost gentle towards others. And it's hard, especially when even in your kindness, you're delivering messages that they may not want to hear. But you got to be kind about it, y'all. No one is here to and should be here tearing other people down. That's not building community. That is not healthy, and it's definitely not building the community of people that we should be growing and learning and building relationship with. So yeah, that conflict resolution training was super, super, super. If you have never heard me train in conflict resolution, you're missing out, y'all. Y'all missing out. And then I think a girlfriend of mine sent me a story from the New York Times. And I think I'm a New York girl, and I think sometimes New York is always the place that gets, like in a movie, they're always getting attacked. New York always has like big level drama. And one of the things that's going on is, of course, you have like the migrants are being shipped up there. So it seems like there's a lot of tension, and, it's just like it's squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, and people are bursting at the seams. You've got a migrant crisis. You've got a crisis of individuals that are, that are not necessarily healthy, right? The budgets are to the max. You've got individuals that are that are having mental health issues. So people are getting pushed off, subways. It's really interesting what's going on in New York. I think it's just a bubble. Like, I think it's about to burst. And one of the things that's occurring is, there's been this rise in New York where men are just coming up and randomly punching women in the face, to the point where like women in the city were calling, I mean, in the 5 boroughs were calling their city council members going like, what is going on? Is this a hoax? Like, is this a TikTok trend? What is going on? And I'm not here to, um, bash men or anything, because that's not what I want to say. What I want to say is like that is very scary. I mean, even just the power dynamic, the physical dynamic, I can only imagine what it's like to be a woman and just have some dude randomly like just punch you in the face. Like, so there was a whole New York Times article about that. And I don't know, y'all. I know we need to sit down somewhere. Sit down somewhere, get on someone's couch. And if you can't get on someone's couch, nowadays, actually, you can do therapy online. And I know we are just to the max of things at this moment. Inflation is taking us out, food costs are rising, housing costs are rising. Literally, y'all, yesterday I saw a video. And listen, I'm a New York girl. I love it. I love it. I love it. And some things I've learned I cannot do because my shoe collection is bigger than anything else. And so I can't live in a little room. Like, this was a $1,200 spot in New York, and they had like some built-in shelves, which was cute. That was cute. Like, the built-in shelves were cute. But there was no kitchen. There was, and they said it was 1,200 square feet. I don't know how that works. But it was just like this long, narrow space. And you had to walk past, I think it was like 4 apartments in the hallway just to get to a shared bathroom. So I can understand not the kitchen, but not even a refrigerator. Like, what is up with that? So that's just wild. It's just absolutely wild. Um, so that's kind of like the thing that I just want to go. We're the conflict of the world. Be mindful of how you're walking in this space. So important. The last thing before we start bringing on our guest is that I was shopping. Let me just be honest. I was shopping. I stopped working the other day and I was shopping for a dress because I have an event this weekend coming up that I need to look cute for. And I came across this wonderful, wonderful candle shop. And it's called a candle bar and boutique, actually. And so I just want to give a shout out to, it's called Sea Love in Vinings, Georgia. And when I walked in, y'all, I was a little disappointed because it said boutique, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm going to be able to buy a dress. It's brand new, and they don't have any clothes yet. But let me tell you what, when I walked in, I stopped, I met the owner. And because I haven't even had a sip of coffee this morning, I cannot remember that sister girl's name, but you will see her because I'm going to have her on. I'm going to do kind of like a commercial thing and promo her because fantastic, fantastic candles. And it's a Black female that owns it. So y'all know how I love, love, love to support Black business. And so it's called Sea Love, y'all. And she has these amazing candles. So it's a spot where you can go get, you can make candles, you can host events there. But I found this candle, y'all. It's called Seaside Mimosa. Listen, yummy. One of the things I love about her is that she is green. And what I mean about green is that she is here for the environmental challenges of this world, and she recycles, y'all. So if you buy a candle from her, you pay full price, right? The first time. And then you can bring that same candle base and jar, or whatever you want to call it, and bring it back to her, and she will refill it for you for half price. And I was like, whoa, I love that. Can we be sustainable? I love it. I love it. So I want to say good morning. I see that Fam is on. Hey, Stokely, we need to talk. I see Stephen Harris is on. Hey, good morning. Hey, Kevin Miles, good morning. And so I am excited. All right. So, Yoruba, we're going to take a break because I need to take a sip. And we have Dr. John Ward is here. We have Brother Jonathan McKinney is here. So, we're going to bring them on and we're going to get started. And when our third guest arrives, we're going to pull him in too. So, see you all in a few seconds.
Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kadana.
One of the biggest challenges for coaches, practitioners, and hypnotherapists is getting clients. As coaches ourselves, we know how difficult it is on social media to stand out and gain credibility. That is why at Life Coaching Today, we connect coaches like you with clients. It all starts with our directory, where it's possible to create a profile that gets the right exposure with over 12,000 hits a month. You can gain credibility by writing for Life Coaching Today magazine, add videos, be interviewed on our podcast, teach classes in the community, and sell your products directly from our website. Not to mention, we actually connect clients who are actively searching for coaches who can best serve them. So if you are struggling to get clients, have Life Coaching Today help you get more clients. Go to lifecoachingtoday.com.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Thank you all for joining. This is Kadada Esmera Gray, conflict coach with Life Coaching Today Presents. Actually, y'all, I forgot today is an important day in history. And so I need to give this the shout out. This is the day that my housekeeper is arriving. And when I get off of here, I got to clean my house, y'all, before the housekeeper comes. This is a national holiday. So this is an important day in history. So I have to remind myself because I am so ashamed, y'all. I am so ashamed. But it's political season. Don't shake your head at me. Don't shake your head at me, doctor. We're not doing that this morning.
You know you old school. That's all I'm saying. You got to clean the house before you get the house cleaned. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm just gonna leave it right there. I love my black women. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. So, good morning, everyone. Like I said, if you're just joining me, hello. We are going to talk to these amazing brothers this morning, and we're going to talk about why it is that Black men need safe spaces. So I'm going to absorb all this wisdom this morning, and we are waiting for one more person. But when he arrives, we're going to let him come on in and join the brotherhood with the one sister this morning. And so I am going to let me see. I feel like, okay, all right. I'm going to have Brother Jonathan McKinney because he looked half sleepy. So
I'll take it.
It's all right. I'm sleepy too. Trust me. And I'm going to have you introduce yourself because our mutual friend Kevin Miles reached out to me as I was like going, whoa, I need somebody. And he was like, well, wait a minute, let's talk to Jonathan. So Jonathan, thank you for doing this last minute for me. But tell the people who you are. Tell us a little bit about your book because you were an author. I saw you in the streets. You were looking all fly, suited up. He had like stacks of books and he's looking all professional. Like, when I met Jonathan, he didn't look professional, y'all. I'm just gonna say that. He wasn't, but sorry if you don't know me, y'all. In this space, we're happily honest. Okay.
You're talking about when I met you in the parking lot with them boots. All right.
We're not gonna tell that story. Hush, we're not gonna tell that story. Why people gotta be messy? Jonathan, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning and thank you for having me. I often say I'm just a kid from the east side of Detroit who actually noticed systemic racism very young. So I got into social justice. I didn't know growing up in Detroit about the NAACP until I was an adult. But once I got into the NAACP, I started doing work with the association, which led me to being hired as staff. And after, 20 years of working off and on as NAACP staff. I was relieved of my duty, so I started my own organization, my own little company. And so for the last 4 years, I've just been doing my own thing. I wrote a book about my childhood, growing up in Detroit in the middle of the crack era and all of the changes that happen in a young person's life that they can't control. I talk about my spirituality and how all of that started. Just a very open book, if you want to say, because a lot of people say that I was brave for expressing myself the way that I did. But I just feel like we have to tell some of our stories. I grew up in the church. And so growing up in the church, we are taught to read the Bible. Those stories are over 2,000 years old, at least. And so I believe personally, like Dr. Miles Monroe says, the richest place on the planet is the graveyards. So we have to get our treasures outside of us. And so I decided to tell my story, and I really push everyone to tell their story, because it's people that'll read the book of Jonathan before they read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So that's kind of how I got here.
Wait, let's say that real quick. He said the book of Jonathan, y'all. The book of Jonathan. I love it. Y'all just be bringing stuff. I love it. I love it. I love it. I want to say this too, because I'm nosy. Because I am nosy, Jonathan. Your mommy just got a big award, or did she just become something big time? I'm an operative. I'm searching everybody's business.
It's all good. So my mother is she founded a church some years ago, but then she left that church because like ministry back in the day, you couldn't have a woman pastor, right?
That's right. Yeah. So
she ended up at the Church of God in Christ, and she's been at the Church of God in Christ ever since I was about 13. So 2 or 3 years. She's been there for quite some time. And my mother, for some reason, did not think that she would become a church mother. She's still very active. She sings praise and worship. She sings in the choir. And because she's so active, I guess pastor never thought about making her a church mother. And so we had a great time the other day on the phone, my mother and I, when she told me that pastor has elevated her to being a church mother. I did explain to her that it is stage 4 churchdom, because no one survives being a church mother. So, but we're very proud that they I don't know if it's an honor because of your work or because of your age, but
we use the word vintage over here. We were told vintage.
Yeah. My mother is when my mother goes to Greater Emmanuel Institutional Church of God in Christ, which is Bishop J. Drew Shear's church, and he is the presiding bishop of all of the churches of God in Christ. My mother was singing praise and worship in that church when it was just 13 people there. So her to stay there as long as she has and be as faithful to ministry as long as she has is a testament to her character. And she taught me a lot in the process. So my mother becoming a church mother is a big deal. So I decided it should be celebrated. That's why I posted it on social media.
Thank you. We're going to send her all the peppermints too.
Yes, all the peppermints.
She needs the peppermints. A big So, good morning, Dr. John Ward. How are you?
Good morning. How's it going?
Good. I am so excited for you. I'm actually excited for your wife too. So introduce yourself to the people and tell them about your latest award. And that's a hint that I expect an invitation to the celebratory.
Okay.
Sorry. Sometimes I go off on a tangent. Sometimes I'm like,
it's all good. It's all good. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Before I do that, Dr. Jonathan McKinney, first of all, let me say congratulations to you and your mother. Becoming a church mother. Listen, that is the greatest. I mean, when it comes to churchdom, that is the greatest accolade one could ever receive. Because it not just shows your age, but it shows your seasoning and your wisdom. Everyone can't be a church mother. And I'm a pastor, and I'm going to tell you this. Church mothers run the church. We don't go against the church mothers. The church mother tell us what to do. If they ever say, Pastor, we need to talk to you, then we're like, oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's what it is. I have my grandmother. She was a former first lady. My grandfather, who pastored, was a founding pastor of Hunter Hill Baptist Church. She is now 94 years old, and she's a church mother. and her wisdom has been the thing to keep me going. So I celebrate any Black man who honors their mother and honors that position, understanding what it's about. Because one thing we do understand is they pour more wisdom into us than anyone ever could.
Right.
You know, so congratulations to her. Congratulations to you for understanding the position and celebrating her in that. I just have to say that. And I'm gonna throw some butterscotch along with that peppermint.
Exactly. Those little strawberry candies.
Yeah, definitely. They last forever. So everyone that has no idea who I am, that's everyone in the world. My name is John Ward. I am the pastor of Empower Church and Ministries. I've been in ministry for over 25 years. I am receiving this weekend the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for it. My wife is receiving the Presidential Service Award. This is the third one that I've received, which I'm so grateful for. And people are like, does it really matter to you? I'm going to tell you this. People don't have to honor you. People don't have to respect you. People don't have to acknowledge you. So anytime I'm invited to speak, anytime I'm honored or someone has celebrated me, I am grateful for it. I'm always endeavorably grateful, and it humbles me even more because I realize that when you do that, you have to give God back the glory for allowing you to be able to do the work that you do. I'm a community activist, a human rights activist, a member of the Concerned Black Clergy here in Atlanta. One of the things I believe is making ministry made simple. Oftentimes within the Black community, we tend to want to pick a struggle and not understand that there are a lot of multifaceted fights that we have to deal with to help bridge our community. And we begin to make our fight we try to make our fight more impressionable and more important than the next man's fight, not realizing that we all are cohesive and we have to do this together. So I work with a lot of different people. When I met Sister Gadada, I'm gonna tell you, she ran me a new one. Okay, so you had to get me. I met her and she took me to the higher heights, when she was all elegant and prestige. And, I'm sitting here like, wait a minute, I'm out of my league. This sister, because I was getting ready to start a campaign and I was meeting with my wife and my administrative assistant. I said, you know what? The hardest thing for me is, I got all these women around me telling me what to do. And they were like, how you gonna handle it? I said, I don't know. I'm used to being in the situation. And Gadada just sat down so cool, her small frame. And she let me know, I understand who you are, but you need to understand who I am. And I'm making the show here. And since then, I respected this woman. She's been an awesome woman of God, an awesome leader. And I'm grateful for you inviting me here. I'm looking forward to this topic. One of the things I do, we have a group called Intimacy. It's called IntiMeUC, dealing with loving relationships, helping building healthy marriages, helping building better relationships, not just with the physical, but also relationships with friends, because to build a true relationship, you have to allow people in. You have to allow people to see who you are. You have to be vulnerable and transparent. But we have to understand how that transparency looks with different people, and also how we create those boundaries with certain people, because everyone cannot have the same access to you. And it's okay. So I'm looking forward to this. That's just a little bit about me. Like I said, I do have a book out, called Faith and Fitness, which is a daily inspirational motivational get you going. That I tell people it's great as a stock get stuffer. Every Christmas, working on a new book called Do You Want to Go to Heaven with People Like You? We'll deal with that another day. Yeah.
Wait.
Yes. Yeah. I think you just caught that one, Jonathan. I think you just want to go ahead with people like you.
I caught it as soon as you said it, sir.
Yeah. I am the executive director for the African Fellowship for the Georgia Baptist Convention, which is part of Southern Baptist. I'm that thorn in the side. I'm the spook that's set at the door. A lot of people say, hey, you're a Black pastor at SBC, and then you're trying to fight for the community. Yes, I am, because somebody has to be there to let them know, listen, everything you're saying, even though you interpret it from the Bible that way, that is not the love of Christ. Okay, and we just can't. We got to stop just checking off because somebody read it in a Bible, interpreted it their way, that we want to take that as gospel. We need to look at it because Christ was loving. Christ was all encompassing. You know, a friend of mine said that she saw on a church billboard yesterday, and it read something to the effect of, "Heaven has no open borders." You know, and it is very selective about its immigrants. And her grandchild was like, that hurt his feelings. And I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute. I mean, I understand heaven is a prepared place for prepared people, but it does have open borders. The thing is, only we have to choose whether or not we want to cross over to it or not. And I don't care how you look at that from any spirituality. And if we begin to realize the love that Christ, you know, has given us, we realize that the great creator has given us, then we can begin to work together and rebuild our communities back to the way that he wanted us to be. And we can be cohesive and we can respect each other in the way that each one of us worship.
Ooh, Lord, listen, my body is still shook. I am shook okay, because you came out here. Listen, I am trying to after I get off here, before I go and clean my house, to pre-clean before on this national holiday, I may have to go through my friends list and cut some folks. I'm just saying.
That's cleaning up too.
Right. I may have to unfriend some folks, but I just say thank you guys, welcome. And if you're just joining, I am Kadada Asmara Gray, and I have wonderful men. I am celebrating men this month, and I am having this conversation with Jonathan McKinney and Dr. John Ward, and we are talking about not only their lives, right, but why it is that their lives, right. Someone's got me on. And I want to say I got you. Good morning to Jennifer. Thank you, ladies, for joining. If you guys have any questions for these men and all the topics that we're talking about today, please drop them in the chat. I have a question. Okay. And so I hope y'all are prepared. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, y'all. And I'm going to ask this question because both of you men are studied. You obviously work in the social justice spaces, you know. So I have a question for you all. I need to know, in your understanding of this world and how you stand in this world, are you Black first or are you a man first? Which comes first for you? Dr. John, who wants to go first? Jonathan?
I'll yield.
Go ahead. Oh, you yield? Yeah, because that's a great question, and I don't think you can separate the two. No matter what room I walk in or out of, I am a Black man. I was born a Black boy to grow into a Black man. So I don't think that you can separate the two. It's a great conversation to have when you're talking to people in the social justice space, because sexuality and sexual preference always comes up in conversation. And I always have to remind them, right? Don't let your orientation or your I'm sorry, my words are missing me this morning.
It's all right.
Don't let that fool you and make you forget that you're Black first. Right? You're that and Black, whatever it might be. And so if you're fighting that battle, fight this battle as well, and understand that if I'm on the battlefield, I'm on the battlefield with you as a Black man, right? But to answer your question, I really don't think you could say that one comes before the other. I believe we are both Black and male, no matter when or how we show up.
Okay.
I'm going to answer it this way, and I love what he said, and I definitely want to dovetail off of that. But I had a friend years ago, and they had a biracial marriage, biracial children, and the question always, we had quite a few friends that were like this, and the question was always, are they Black or are they biracial? And my friend made the statement. He says, when they get pulled over, they will find out who they are.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, being a Black man, you cannot separate the two. However, the difference comes is when people perceive and receive me. How do they receive me first? Do they receive me as black or do they receive me as a man? Now, statistically, it's proven that society most of the time will see my color, then see my gender. Now, I operate with law enforcement. I'm a police chaplain, and I can honestly admit that when people see me still, they see a black man. And even in what we're dealing with of understanding safe spaces and understanding cultural dynamics, the difference between a black man and a white man is always going to be different. Our expectations are different. We're expected to endure more, but we're also expected to be more docile, because anytime that we show any emotion, it is received or perceived as aggression. So it's hard for us to sit back and say, I'm going to separate who I am, because the whole identity is tied to that. It's tied to me being black and a man is the reason that we have this systemic racism and these problems in our community to get today. Now, if I could separate it, if I could say, listen, I want you to see me as a man first, I'm sure Jonathan would also agree. We would love for you to see this man first. But we know when we walk in the room, the first thing they're looking at is, oh, he's black. My name is Jean. And when they speak to me and they look at my resume, my bio, and they have no picture of me, especially where I come from, they're like, okay, we think he's a white guy. And then when I show up in the room, they're like, wait a minute, hold on. Hey, brother, how's it going? and when I get that brother, I know, yeah, you weren't expecting me. So you was expecting a brother, not a brother. So, and the whole thing about that is we have to, the problem is a lot of black men sometimes forget. They feel that they made it. And they're like, I'm now different. They have the O.J. Simpson ideology. That
wait, hold on. Before you go any further, Brother OJ just passed.
Hey, he's not immune. He is not immune.
You trying to break some rules. I thought we had like 30 days before we started snapping.
No.
He's not the only one, but that's a great example.
Yeah, that's
I'm just putting it out there. I mean, I respect Brother OJ. I love Michael Jackson. But we gotta be honest. Some people forgot, they thought they made it, and we have entertainers right now that's running from the police that he thought he made it because he made billions. And he's realizing, listen, you are still black and we still try to own you. And you heard the word I say, own. We try to own you. But as long as we stay true to who we are and realize and never forget that, listen, you may be accepted, but you won't be embraced. And that's the difference. I've learned that people say, well, Jean, you have a seat at the table. No, I have a seat at a table. I have a seat at a table in a room. But there's another table that they will never allow me to be at. And that's in another room that they will never grant me access to because of the color of my skin. And if I begin to believe anything else than that, I am delusional, and I will then begin to falter in serving my people.
And if I could add to that just one thing.
Yes, please do.
You took us back to OJ, so I'll take you back to another black character of the 80s. Mr. T. Mr. T would get on talk shows, and he said he changed his name to Mr. T because he got tired of people calling him boy as a grown man. Right? And so I think it's part of the question should be, are we seen as black men in some instances or black boys? Inferior to in some instances.
Definitely
on TV, and it was funny because when you saw Mr. T, he was what, in my opinion, white people thought of black American men, which is big, strong, crazy haircut, a whole bunch of gold, and not necessarily educated. But when you listen to that brother talk, he said, nah, I need you to understand, I changed my name to Mr. T. He says, because every time somebody called my name, I wanted them to call me Mr. And when they asked him his name, he said, my first name is Mr. My middle name is that period, and my last name is that T. Don't play with my name because that's
I remember that.
So I think it's a good question to ask. Also, is if we're seen as black boys as grown men or black men as grown men.
You know,
Thank you guys for that. I asked that question because I get stuck sometimes because I feel like politically, and if it's a topic, if it's an issue of womanhood, right, I have to either choose Black or my womanhood first, right? And I feel like sometimes I got to go with the girls, right? A lot of times I'm like, I'm here for the womanhood. And it's a challenge because I'm like, well, my Blackness says and dictates and has prepared me for. And let me just apologize because I have Miss Zora Neale Hurston Gray in the background. That's the doggy. And she is doing all the things this morning. But this her house too, y'all. So she gets to live her best life. And so so with that being said, it is hard. Sometimes I am a Black woman, right? That's it. That's the walk that I'm walking. That's the proud journey that I'm on. And you bring up Mr. T and you bring up Brother OJ, and I think, and I'm gonna throw shade. So, because we don't have that privilege of choosing when we're Black, right? And
exactly.
or of color, and I get irritated. My spirit has been irritated, and I'm fighting with my spirit. Dialogue in my head is, there are people in this space that gets to choose their minority status when it's appropriate. When it's convenient for them. And so I'm actually sick and tired of it. And then there's a part of me that's like, well, maybe they just want that extra level of privilege. But then there's another part of me that's like, well, maybe they had to grow into that space. Maybe they had to grow into that level of understanding. But I love your answers to the questions. And so, Brother Ward, you made mention of the word docile, right? That they expect you to be docile. And so I want to use another word in the space, and I want to ask the question about vulnerability. Because I believe in the world, there's actually people who are challenged by the word vulnerable. I'm saying how I'm defining it is being open enough, being to share, to show your emotions, to show your failures, your faults, all of those things, because guess what? That's who we are as human beings. Those are the puzzle pieces that create the whole piece of human being. And so how do you all get to the space of when you're talking to your fellow Black men, when you're talking to men in general, do you have those conversations about being vulnerable? Do you see that being practiced, even if you're like you're not like, hey brother, today, Jonathan, are you being vulnerable today? But how are you?
Okay. Mind if I go first on this one?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I was having this conversation with my wife, and we have a son who is 14 years of age, and he's athletic, coming to himself, and I had a conversation teaching him, listen, you have to treat women a certain way. He got caught up in some stuff, certain girls, they liked him and everything, and he didn't handle it well. Some feelings got hurt. Boys, we don't understand that sometimes. But I taught him, and one of the things I used to always hear women say, hey, especially Black women to Black men, you all need to raise your sons not to be players and the way that you used to, teach you how to respect women. And then I would do that, but then I would hear other women say, he's just been a boy. That's what boys do. Let them go through that. And I'm like, you're giving mixed signals. We can't do this. We're going to raise them up the right way. But then being a football coach and a sport athletic coach with young men, I began to realize that they need the conversation and they want a place where they can say, hey, this is what I'm feeling and how do I handle it and how do I channel it? Vulnerability is something that men, we bond with, but we only bond with certain men. Okay, we have a brotherhood that's why you'll find guys that, why is it you all are still friends? Because I've bonded with them. I've connected with them. We've been through some things together. Yeah, I know he's trifling. I get it. But that's my boy. Every single one of us got one boy that always going to jail. We got one that we sweat. Listen, can you introduce him to my friend? No, you can't. Trust me, he's a dog. We not. Well, why are you friends with him? Because that's my boy. We're cool like that, but we have this place that we can communicate with, that we can be honest with, and we can talk to each other with, because they understand the trials that we go through. And with that, it's needed. It's so needed. And we don't have a problem with sharing it. The problem comes in is with our female counterparts. You all may see that we don't share that with you. And here's the reason why. Because in our eyes, Black men, and I say specifically Black men, this is where Black comes in. We have always been downgraded. We have been demonized. We have been said that we're less than. So therefore, in our eyes as being a man, our woman has to look up to us. She has to respect us. I tell women all the time, the moment your man looks in your eyes and sees that you no longer respect him, you've lost him. He's become a shell of a man to you. So in that, we open up that vulnerability to you all. We have this innate fear or reservation that says, if I show you too much, you'll no longer see me as a man. You'll no longer see me as your king. You'll no longer see me as that man that you look up and respect. So some of that we shelter, but we get with our guys. And the difference between male relationships and women relationships, which I'm assuming because I'm not a woman, let me put that caveat out there, is we are actually true to our friends, our boys. We'll tell them, bruh, that outfit is not going to work. Listen, the way you treat your lady, that's real foul, bruh. I'm going to tell you. I'm telling you right now, you don't need to do that. See, y'all don't think we do this. We actually had that conversation. We'll tell them, nah, you can't. You drink too much. That's why I didn't invite you to the party. You know what I'm saying?
Don't listen.
We are on our fellas. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to fight, we'll fight, and we'll then go grab a beer, go out to eat or whatever. But we said what we said, you know. So that's the whole thing. We have the real conversation with each other. You know, I mean, I had a young lady the other day telling her friend, she's like, "You will literally tell me if I look bad?" He said, "Yes." She's, "Why would you do that?" He was like, "But you want the truth." That's what I do with my friends. We tell the truth. Men, we don't. It's too much for us not to be open and honest. That's why in our relationships, we tend to just feed off of what you say. How do I look? Baby, you always look good to me. Okay? Does this make me look fat? You always look perfect in my eyes. We're not going to have that conversation because if I say this makes you look thinner, then the other thing made you look fat. So we're going to always play in a safe space. But if you want true honesty and vulnerability with us, you got to ask yourself, can you all handle that without it going into your emotional thinking of, is he saying, what is he not saying? And what does he mean by what he's not saying? Men, we're simplistic creatures. At the end of the day, we're going to say, if I like you, if I don't like you. You know, you'll know if we like you, if we don't like you. And that's the end of it. And we're going to respect you either way. I don't have to like you as a brother, but I can still respect you. And that's where we keep it
at. I'm trying not to be in my feelings at the moment, but so I'm gonna let you, because I was like, did you just bring women into this? Did you just kind of? And I'm like, wait a minute. I looked at the time because
we love you.
I know, but I was just like, what time is it? Because I'm about to have this. We're about to have a whole other hour conversation because I'm about to join you. But but Lord, you wrote. But I have to ask my producer: is it okay if we go past 8:00? So because we are 8 minutes in, and we have some questions from the chat, but I do want to give Jonathan a moment to answer the question because I'm curious, especially when you're out in the community and see what does that look like for you personally, if you want to share, so go take the floor.
Well, we have to look at the history of, how we got to holding back vulnerability, right? The history of Black men in this country, as far as being slaves are concerned, and what we had to repress, what we had to hold back as far as watching the things that happened to our families. I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s. But even then we still dealt with the Willie Lynch syndrome and I don't know if you all know what that means or what that is, but that's, but we were taught to be tough. We were taught to hold back, but we were also taught to say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, ma'am, yield yourself to certain people. And so to define what a man is, especially a Black man, is very difficult. right? And if you ask most people in any relationships, what does it mean to be a Black man, right? It's not an easy answer. So how can you be vulnerable in that space where there's no clear definition of what we are supposed to be because it was taken from us, right? But there are these spaces, like Dr. Ward said. When we get together, I have some homies that I grew up in Detroit with, and they've known me for 20 years. And to me, that's been the blessing of writing my book. When I went home and I had my book signing, and I had those people who have known me for 30 years and 40 years of my life, and they realized that in my book I wasn't telling a lie because they were there. And I'm sorry, let me change a little bit, because you said something earlier about being a black person or a woman first, right? And that's also how I show up here in my community. I live in a suburb now, right? And I don't separate it.
Right.
How I show up in this place, when they see me, they don't see I'm not trying to prove my education. That's why when you asked me yesterday what title did I want to use, I didn't answer, because we are often qualified by our titles. And to me, that erases the safe space. I don't need you to relate to me, Jonathan, and Jonathan is good enough in this space. No knock to you, brother pastor.
Oh no, you good, bro.
Yeah. And so I redefine that in this space. So when I show up and people introduce me as an author or an activist or whatever, I said, no. I'm just Jonathan, and I will be accepted enough as Jonathan, right? And I think that me being who I am opens people up enough, because a lot of brothers and sisters that grew up out here in the suburb, I still watch them, yes, ma'am, and no, sir, and shuck and jive and code switch. And I stop them and I say, brother and sister, you are enough. Let me say it to you for the first time in your life. You don't have to change for anybody. You are smart enough. You are loved enough. You are beautiful enough. You are tall enough, short enough, big enough, thick enough, whatever it is you don't think you are, you have it. And I think that opens the door for us to be more vulnerable and open, because right now, when you start talking about emotions, it's only two places that Black men are able to be emotional: at home and at church, right? So everywhere else, we got to be tough. And for those people who don't go to church, what do you do? I have a friend who it's so funny to watch him laugh. He grew up so hard. Like you crack a joke, he'd be like, like he don't even know how to laugh. So it's
right.
It's a product of a lot of things that we are living through, and that Black men especially have experienced. And it affects relationships. Like Dr. Ward said, we don't know how, because we were not protected as Black boys and young Black men. We don't know how to protect Black women. We don't know how to protect Black women until we 35, 40, 45, 50.
Exactly.
Exactly. I'm gonna go away now, because I'm not opening up all this today.
But I'll stop right there.
Listen, I told y'all, if you are first time on this show, we are about honest truth over here. We're gonna tell it happily, and we're gonna tell it with some laughter and some tears sometimes. So thank you guys. And I just want to say this, that identity. I talk about identity a lot on my podcast, because I think we don't recognize who we are. And to your point, Jonathan, like, some people are, titles. Some people need on the outside to be able to understand somebody because of their titles, right? And then the idea that, your name, like, I grew up with a name that was so counter to what everybody else was called, that it was just kind of like, what in the world? Who is she? What is that all about, having this African name? And so I love you guys' honest conversations, because the other day, like I said, I got my feelings hurt by Black men. And so, John, you didn't even reply, which I was going to call you about that. Because I asked a question about, like, dear men, if you see a man harming a woman, do you say something, like, in your crew? So you answered my question. You said you check your boys. Jonathan, you said they don't listen. I get it. So I have a little hope that at least the conversation is occurring, right? And so that makes me feel better as a Black woman. So so we have a question, and I'm gonna and a comment. And so Kevin Miles is being messy this morning, y'all. And he said, no Beijing Black in the beard. Don't put Beijing Black in y'all beard. I guess that's what y'all men be telling each other. when y'all trying to look cute, coming out.
Okay, I think Jonathan's a little bit younger than me, and he wouldn't do it. But I used to Beijing my beard, so I gotta be honest, right? I gotta be honest. You gotta own who you are, right?
Kevin,
I'm gonna
go ahead.
I was Beijing up until I was like 47. I'm 52 now. And I was working out. I work out at this gym in Atlanta called Effect Fitness. And the women on my team was sitting back saying, listen, Pastor, I mean, you just got your beard Beijing again and you sweating and we think it's dripping a little bit. They was like, just let it go, Pastor, let it go. I was like, They was like, just embrace it. And I'm going to be honest, I had a hard time, letting it go and then, I got remarried. I was like, listen, I love it. I love the silver. I love the gray. I was like, but then I had to do it's something Jonathan said. I had to really embrace who I was and realize I was putting on a facade for everyone else for them to feel accepted. And that acceptance is a major thing. And it's a true thing. And people feel that, just because a person is a pastor, they've done this and they've achieved these goals, that they've overcame some of these strongholds that they had from childhood. And no, they haven't. We're still growing with that. And that was one of the things. So I had to let it go. So, I'm going to be honest. I struggled with it for years and to the point where now I'm Santa Claus and it grows all the way down with the gray. But yeah, Kevin, I see you over there. But the whole thing is, I let it go. And I'm not knocking men that still do it. You have to operate in your comfort zone. You have to operate where you are. Don't knock a brother who does do it, but I will say this. If it's looking crazy and raggedy and we're looking like, bruh, that does not look real. Yeah, we're gonna check you. We're gonna say something. Okay, you need to maybe use the blended one. Don't show up yesterday being white like Santa, and tomorrow you got the whole full Rick Ross looking on your face. Okay,
or it's black, and then up under it you can see the new growth of the gray.
The worst part is when the skin is black. When you see the skin being black and everything, and Beijing the hair, your whole hairline. I had to tell my barber, hey man, listen, don't make my hairline. It is what it is. If it's receding, if it's going back, it is what it is, But to each his own. But we will check our boys and say, bro, you looking real crazy. We gonna call it out. But that's what we do. We grew up with that. Men, we grew up. We called it Jonan back in the day, called it the dozens. But understand, and what we were saying, we was always saying the truth.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan, you wanted to share something?
That's something that Kevin is always. People with hairlines always got something to say. This was the hard part for me. Once I got over this, the rest of it, I'm good. I'm good. So,
oh my goodness! Thank you guys for the laughter this morning. I am too much. So Jennifer Simmons has an awesome question for you all, and she asked the question. She said, "How do Black men prepare for the rooms they know?" Okay, good, because I can't. Oh Lord, but I'm gonna read it anyway. They know the perception will only that they receive their Blackness and not their manhood and humanity.
I think I'm too hard of a person. So I grew up in Detroit, where like Pastor Ward just said, we Jones on each other, we talk trash, we look you up and down, and your shoestrings don't match. We gonna go in on you for 30 minutes. So I grew up with this exterior that's, it's a Teflon exterior. You can't really get to me like that. But then also because I've done this work for so long, I've been in those rooms. I've had to stand face to face with the KKK a few times, right? And so to me, what's harder is when you are a Black person going into a space with Black people and you are still not enough. I'm not trying to be accepted when I walk in a room. That's the joy of me being me. And I think the hard part that we have to deal with and accomplish is getting to the point in our lives where we love ourselves enough, where no matter what's said in the room, I give you a great example. The other day, my friend who's an ice skater, she's a Black woman who is in her 40s, and she's an ice skater. So imagine growing up in the 80s and the rooms that she had to spend time in. And so now that she's going through some issues with stress, I said, why don't you go to the ice skating rink? And her response was, how the people are going to look at me. And so what I said to her was, but you're not there for them.
Right.
You're there for yourself. And I think, and I think that's how I walk into every room. I live in the suburbs now. I'm from the hood, but I live in the suburbs. And a lot of those rooms I walk in with pride, and I let them see, or I redefine what a Black man is in that space.
So I just need to know why you keep bringing up the suburb. You thugging in the suburbs? Is that what you're saying?
I never thought that I would be in a place like this.
I caught what that was.
I never thought. It's the craziest thing. My close friends out here are white women, and I'm like, I'm showing up at PTA meetings and I don't have kids. It's the craziest thing.
I love it. That's a true community activist and breaking down the barriers. I love it. Oh my gosh. Jennifer Simmons says, come through, Jonathan. We love that. I love what you said. I absolutely love it. And I would love to talk to the 40-year-old ice skater, because I'm a 48-year-old ballet dancer. Y'all, it don't make no sense. I just don't even understand what I'm doing in ballet class, but I'm having fun, right? And the goal is to stretch and sweat. And y'all, I'm getting better with my splits, y'all. I'm getting better with my splits. I think about 10 more years, I'm gonna get it. But it's so true. Who you're showing up as, show up for yourself first before you walk into any rooms and then have some questions about yourself. Like, no, know yourself. Know yourself inside and out. I always tell people, no one can shame you if you accept every portion of your being. The good, the bad, the ugly. Can't nobody take anything away from you when you already know who you are.
Exactly.
Can we just have that conversation? John, how would you answer Jennifer's question?
A couple of years ago, and I'm going to be very kind of vague because of the sensitivity of it, especially during this year. But a couple of years ago at one of our conventions, I was asked to take a picture with a political figure. And it was coming up in an election year. And they wanted me to take it because I was Black. Okay, for those that can't read between the lines, they wanted me to take this picture because I was a Black pastor from Atlanta, the civil rights era, coming from a civil rights family. You know, take this picture with this person, and we want to show the cohesiveness of how Black people are supporting this political agenda and how we're all in support of it. And they said, listen, Jean, hear what is Jean, this will launch your career. You will be invited to other places. You will be, all these things that will happen for you. And I tried to take the safe way. I said, listen, my flight leaves and I can't do it. You know, I tried to, I'm not gonna lie, I tried to Uncle Tom my way out of it. Right. Like we say, you got to say what it is, right? So then they said, listen, we've arranged for you to have a flight to go back home to take this picture. And we're going to pay for your extra in the hotel. We're going to do all this. And I called my daughter and I was like, I can't do this. And I was talking to her about it. And she says, you will be a sellout. And I said, and she was like, Dad, she says, Father, I know you're trying to launch your career even further. And she says, but you'll be a sellout. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to look at you differently if you do that. You know, and that was the pivotal point in my life that began to make me really begin to analyze every little thing I do and every person that I deal with, or even people I take pictures with. And I realized that, listen, when I go into certain rooms, my Blackness is what they see. And I'm going to go into it and I'm going to let them know who I am. So I stood boldly and said, I'm not going to do it. I said, one, because you are going to now invalidate any work that I do in the city of Atlanta. Okay. It's now going to tarnish my name. And not only that, the work that I believe in, it means nothing to people. And that's what's more important is the work that God commissioned me to do to help my people. Okay. And but isn't it about God's people? It is about God's people. But here's the greatest thing I want you to understand. If color did not matter so much, okay, then it would not have been purposeful for you to create a white Jesus and then propagate that and now have a problem when we begin to show you that Jesus was of color, not just a color, but he was black. I'm not going to hide behind this. Well, we know Jesus is a man of color. No, he was black. Let's just be real about who it is. Let's understand that David was black, Samson was black. Let's go through the whole thing and understand the true color and orientation of these individuals. I said, now, if it wasn't pertinent enough that color didn't matter, then you would not have deceived people into thinking that that they were a different hue. So why now are we in a situation when we're bringing the truth and enlightening individuals of what's going on and saying, yes, color does matter, because the color matters because you're now holding people saying you can never be as good as a white person because your God is white. Now, and that hurt a lot of black people growing up, seeing a picture of Malcolm X, MLK, and white Jesus on their wall and their parents praying to it. And they always thought that white Jesus had to be there for them. And I know this is what we want to go into, but the thing is, this is so important because when we go into these rooms and understand the power of our ethnicity and the power of our hue of where we were birthed from and where we come from and how they try to eradicate it, but yet we still acquiesce to what they said, but then overcome the lies that they taught us and rose above the turmoil and the degradation to still be on top today and survive and be a Kadada Gray and be a Jonathan McKinney because we knew who we were and we stood hard on that. So when I walk into that room, you're going to see my blackness. I'm going to make sure you see my blackness. I'm going to make sure you respect my blackness and respect every black person you see after me, that either you're going to talk to them with respect or cross the street or won't deal with them at all. But we don't care because our financial prosperity will still be there. Our nation will be there, our education will be there, and we will build our communities to still be there and rise higher than what you tried to tear down.
Listen, I was over here looking for my debit card. I was like, I'm trying to figure out how can I send you some money because you preached the whole word this morning. I don't even, you said so many things that, and the funny thing is, the only thing I am stuck on is that all my years of life, I never thought, we had the conversation about Black Jesus, right? I've never thought about Samson being black. I've never thought about anyone else in the Bible being black. It doesn't even resonate with me until you said, I've never thought about it. And so I'm just like, oh, okay. I just got schooled this morning. And so I appreciate that. We are appreciating the fervor and the wisdom. And let me just say this, the fact that you both know when you walk into spaces, and we don't even have the time to talk about, Jonathan, how it is as a Black person walking in the space of other Black people, when sometimes, they're replicating whiteness. I'm just going to say it like it is. And the white standards, and some of it is some foolishness. And when we talk about community and all that kind of stuff, we don't even have time to have that full conversation. But I will recognize that there is a burden placed among us, on top of us, and what we carry. I am a creative, and I write poetry. And when I was listening to you all I could think about is that my Blackness is loud. It's loud. It comes with
it should be.
And it should be, and that's not a bad thing for me. But all I'm thinking about is that it comes with it. The room, you enter into a room, and all these adjectives, all these verbs pop off of you, and you haven't even said hello yet. So I recognize that. And so, but I want to stay with the burden for a second. And you did bring up relationship with women, with Black women, and we are going to work on closing. So my final question for you brothers is this. Can you please give a word of advice? I'm gonna see how bad and grown y'all are this morning to Black women on how we can support you all. This is your time now. Y'all got 2 minutes, or y'all can jump off right now if you want to. But this
Oh, no. You want to go first, bro?
Okay, Doc.
Okay. All right. I'm going to take the first bullet.
So let me just say this. Like, I joke with you guys, and I am doing this with all sincerity because I do believe that it is important for us to build relationship, right? I'm a very big person on building relationship, and via building relationship means that we have got to have some honest conversations, and we have to learn how to absorb the messaging without being defensive and getting our feelings hurt. And I'm just going to tell you, when you get defensive and your feelings are hurt, that means you have a wound that has not healed. And I need you to use your I words and not they, them, all. We need to get that. We need to get it together. So I'm going to allow you all to give women, Black women, any woman, some advice when you are feeling overwhelmed and burdened in that space with what you all have to carry as brothers.
Oh, so first, let me say this. We as Black men, we love our sisters. We love them and we cherish them more so than you can ever understand. We do have a strange way of sometimes showing that because we were never taught truly how to exemplify love and show love. Okay, it was always a physical thing of being kind of almost violent how we show our friends love. So we really struggle with that. Okay, now I say that to say this. One of the wisest things I heard the other day is boys were taught how to treat women. Women were taught how to be treated. I mean, so what we were never done. We were never taught how we should be treated. So therefore, we end up taking so much and we own so much. We know as Black men, we will never win an argument with you. And we love you and we accept that. We own that. We tell our friends, bruh, you can't argue with her. You're going to lose. Even when you win, you lose. We'd rather have peace in the valley. So the best thing I would say is take the time to hear us. Take the time in our moment of weakness when you catch that glimpse. Don't use that as an opportunity to compound on it. Use it as an opportunity to speak life into us. We do need that. We won't say it because once again, it makes us look weak to us, not even to you. You can tell us all day, baby, we love you. I know you're going through it, but at the same time, we have to remain the king in your eyes. So I beseech you all, truly, with the Black men in your life, your fathers, your brothers, your cousins, your man, all those, let them know that in their weakness, they're still strong and that you don't see them as weak. You see them as someone who is overcoming all the trials and the weight that the world has placed on them through history, and they're towing it and they're trying to tow you at the same time to be that man, to uplift you, uplift the family, and do the best they can. And this last thing, who we show you and who we tell you we are is who we are. We're too simplistic. We are too simplistic. Okay. I mean, if you give a brother, and I'm not saying men don't lie, but if you give a brother a good 15 minutes of conversation, real conversation outside of sex, and you really have real conversation, you'll find out who he is. That's why I tell women, don't go out on a date with him. Have 64 hours of conversation with him. You'll find out who he is, and he will tell you, because we don't have the attention span. We're not that intricate. We're just that simple. We're men. You all are the greatest things that God created for us because of your intricateness, your beauty, your complexity. We love all of that about you. Even though it may be challenging, we love
it. Well, that's a word.
So I'm going to start off with a story. Speaking of being vulnerable, when I was 7 years old, I was playing in the car with a car lighter, burned my brother's snowsuit back in Detroit. My stepdad, who was a trip, got in the car, saw that I burned this little crescent moon in my brother's snowsuit, pushed the car lighter in. He said, I'm going to show you how to play with a car lighter. He grabbed my hand, and he put the car lighter on my finger. That wait. That wasn't the bad part. The bad part for me as a 7-year-old kid was that my mother.
Wait, say that again. Your mother what?
My mother was sitting right there. She was in the car. And so at 7, I realized that whatever my stepfather was doing to my mother rendered her helpless to help me in dealing with him. And so from that point, I stopped talking to my mom. I started carrying the weight of my stepfather being abusive within, on my own. Fast forward 40 years. I'm now 47. I'll say 39 years. Last year, I had a conversation with my mother about the fact that she never heard me. She never listened to me, and how I carried that through the years. We was having a conversation where I was saying something that I was pouring out of myself, and she just kind of went on to the next thing. And I was like, wait. I'm giving you something that means a lot to me. I'm pausing in this moment, and you just kind of brushed it off the same way you've done everything else in my life. I need you to stop for a second, rewind, listen to what I said. And if I need to say it again, because this is a moment of me being vulnerable. And because you raised such a tough son, you for 30, 40 years, you've never listened to me whenever I've been vulnerable. And so you said something, Pastor Ward, about being heard. Hear us, right? And in hearing us, men find their safe space, right? So this whole conversation is about creating a safe space for men. I have grown to say this. Men are to protect the relationship. Now, we weren't taught how to protect the relationship. We weren't even taught how to be in relationships, but we are to protect the relationship. The woman, in my opinion, in relationships is to protect the man's heart, which is that vulnerable part. So I'm giving you these things, and I'm saying to you all the things that really matter to me, all the things that hurt me. And I'm hoping that you take these things and you protect it and not weaponize it. Right. And in doing that, you become my peace. Right. And I think it's very hard because we were not taught to communicate that way.
True.
Women weren't taught to accept men communicating that way, because then we're soft, we punks, we all the other things that we claim, all the names. And so it's difficult because in the street, and I use Clark Kent and Superman, right? In the street, we got to be Superman all the time to everybody. We got to be tough, bulletproof, all the things. But when we come home, we want somebody who accepts Clark Kent, right?
Say that.
It's Clark Kent gets Superman as well, but everybody doesn't get Clark Kent. You see what I'm saying? And so Clark Kent wasn't black. We probably needed to use somebody else. But that's what came to
We'll make Superman black today. Yeah.
Right. So we black Superman, right? And so I think that's where you get to the heart of a man, when you stop and you listen. Because like Pastor Ward said, we're not gonna say too much. We're kind of simple, right? And so if you listen to what we're saying and acknowledge when you hear our pain and our vulnerability, and understand that we're not telling you that to use that against us, to take it out in the street and go, oh, he don't do that anyway. No, I need you to protect it instead of, using it against me in one way, shape, or form. And I think that if we could be heard and protect it just a bit, I got everything else. But with regards to my vulnerability, if we could be protected in that way, I think you'll never lose a friend that is a man. You'll never lose in a relationship with a man. And then and finally, I'll say this: as a community, we have to be involved in and proactive when we see young black boys and young black girls doing things that they should not be doing, or letting young black boys know that you have tear ducts for a reason, you have emotions for a reason. Use those emotions, but you want to make sure you're using them the right way, because you will end up with pent up emotions, and then you will get with a beautiful woman, and because you've been vulnerable to her, she's the first person that you dog out, right? And so we have to make sure that we create the space for people to be able to say, hey, listen, you have gifts, you have talents, you can do anything on the planet, but you also are an emotional creature as a boy, as a young man. And
Yes.
I don't want you to mix up those emotions for being anything less than emotions. Deal with your emotions so we can all move forward together. You're not taking out any aggressions in the on the wrong people.
Wow. You guys have blessed us. And Yoruba, my producer, is like, hey, Kadada, we're 23 minutes over. So we are going to wrap. And let me just say this resounding message of hear us, right? Hear us. There are so many things I could say, right? But we're going to wrap. And this is going to be a part 2. So hopefully, because I'm inviting you back next week, Jonathan. So you gotta get up next Thursday. And then so John, you already know you coming back next Thursday because we do need to have more conversations about this. And so we want to hear you. And I think it's most important too to say that it doesn't matter if it's only in an intimate relationship. And I do want to acknowledge that on all sides of the team of womanhood, right? We do have the ones that use language like punk, da 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 da. That's a whole different conversation about how they arrived there in their understanding of what manhood looks like. And then you definitely have the women that are just like, no, we can pour into you, we can listen, we can hear you. So I just want to say thank you guys so very much for taking your time, pouring your wisdom on to us in the world, because this is seen worldwide. And I know there's somebody going to be on TikTok. How are they going to say that? Blah, blah, blah. So what? I don't care, because we're going to be honest over here on Life Coaching Today Presents. I do want to honor, I see my sister girl, Valerie Rawls, and joined this morning. She says, I'm an authentic Black woman because my father was an authentic, emotionally intelligent Black man who was a vulnerable, wise protector with a caring heart for his family and community. My Black Superman. I love that. I love that. Shout out to your daddy. And in closing, y'all, I just want to say 2 things. Next Tuesday is my birthday, and I'm going to be 49, y'all. I'm going to be 49.
All right.
Yay. I'm still trying to figure out what 49 is supposed to look like, but I'm here, Lord. Like the Lord said, and in color purple, I am here. So I am excited. The second thing is, yes, you guys are coming back. I am so proud to have you guys in my circle of friends. I love you all. I love you all. Third, I want to say I'm looking at my calendar next week, April 25th. So we are going to have a part 2 to this, safe spaces. Somebody brought up some things that I just was like, let me write it down because we might need to delve into this. And last, final, in closing, I just want to say, when they had that one of these things, it's not like the other conversations from back in the day. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And somebody was on, I think somebody's on the Freaknik video, but I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not gonna say who was on the Freaknik video. It wasn't me. So Yoruba, we are closing. So thank you guys for joining me this morning. Next week we're gonna find out who it was. So bye y'all. Thank y'all for joining this morning.
Thank you for watching Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kadada Gray and produced by Aruba Saad. Our mission at Life Coaching Today is to empower your health, business, community, and life. Check us out at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network would like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and spread awesome.